There are dream homes, and then there are these homes. The kind that make you question reality, logic,
It has to be a village with this, all the houses they are like trees.
and sometimes basic zoning laws.
This here, that is the entire building. That's the whole thing.
Whether they're bizarre, brilliant, or just plain bonkers. One thing's for sure, they're way more interesting than your average apartment. This 18-story pyramid-style apartment complex in Kunshan, China looks straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's got wide, open balconies and a unique design that makes it look straight out of a dystopian movie. But here's the catch. Residents struggle to cook inside. The layout doesn't allow vent hoods, meaning smoke and smells just linger. It's basically an architectural masterpiece with a built-in excuse to order takeout. Guess that's one way to boost the local food industry. Maybe that's why this towering 100-meter-tall structure is more famous for its looks than its practicality. A house wedged between two highways. That's not exactly prime real estate, but one homeowner in Guangzhou refused to move. Even with a generous compensation offer, they held out, hoping for more. 3 years later, their neighbors had taken the money and left, while this house ended up isolated, surrounded by towering dirt walls. Now known as the Eye of Haizhu, the house has become an eyesore, if you will. Even the homeowner's family had enough, with their daughter-in-law reportedly packing her bags. All that's left is an awkward reminder of what could have been. If you've ever wondered what it's like to live inside a giant golf ball, Wingington has the answer. Located just outside Amsterdam, this village of spherical homes was designed in 1984 by artist Dries Krijkamp. Each 3-story pod features round windows framing the canal, bringing the outdoors in. The goal? A futuristic yet nature-friendly way of living. The architect may be gone, but his bold vision remains, proving that even decades later, some designs are just as striking as the day they were built. A house wedged between two massive boulders sounds like something out of a storybook, but Castell is real. Sandwiched between two towering rocks, this 19th century cottage was designed to endure the wild coastal storms of Plougrescant, France. It became famous for its fairy tale-like look, but fame came with headaches. Tourists ignored its private status, even causing damage. Eventually, the owner fought for an image rights to stop its use in tourism ads. Now, while it still draws curious eyes, a sturdy stone wall keeps it from becoming an accidental climbing attraction. Most people settle for a regular house. Maciej Czeziak wanted something way more fun, so he built a giant teapot to live in. Sitting between Solek Kujaski and Bydgoszcz, this house now has a fresh coat of brown paint, making it look like it's made of burnt clay. Czeziak, a tattoo artist and a graffiti designer, didn't want to live in a boring box-shaped home, so he turned his dream into reality. It's definitely one of the quirkiest houses out there, and from a distance, it looks like a giant teapot someone left sitting in the countryside. Kandovan, Iran is home to families living inside rock formations shaped by volcanic activity thousands of years ago. These homes weren't built by people, nature formed them over time, and later, doors, windows, and entire rooms were carved into the hardened lava. This village has been around for 7,000 years and is still inhabited. Unlike similar sites in Turkey and the US, the thick rock walls help regulate temperature, keeping homes cool in summer and warm in winter. But if you've got claustrophobia, this might not be the place for you. If an egg-shaped spaceship and a tiny home had a baby, you'd get the Eco Capsule. This off-grid micro-home is designed to be fully self-sufficient, with solar panels and a wind turbine keeping it powered. Inside, it somehow fits a kitchenette, shower, double bed, and storage. No need for infrastructure, just plop it anywhere and live comfortably. It's like a futuristic camping pod, except with actual running water and electricity. Perfect for those who love nature, but also love not sleeping in a damp tent.
I think he had an assignment to do something special with it. It has to be a village with this, all the houses they are like trees.
If regular homes feel too predictable, Rotterdam's cube houses might be more your speed. Designed by Piet Blom, these 55-degree tilted cubes balance on pillars, turning a dull overpass into a quirky neighborhood. With no straight exterior walls, living here means rethinking storage, movement, and even how you open a window.
One level is there, that's the first level, and that is 3 levels in the house itself. The tree is 3 levels, like mine is 2 levels, like here. But there you've got the entrance upstairs, so that's only 1 level.
Lillian and her son Mitch made it work, but they'll tell you, less is more when your house already looks like a puzzle. Now, they run it as a guest house, letting others experience the architectural oddity firsthand.
There's a big cube house and there are living 20 people in there. 20 people. Yes, there's people in the last phase of their detention and they're trying to get into the community again.
Danger, Teapot.
Floating in the Thames estuary, the Monel Forts might look like something out of a sci-fi movie, but they once housed real people. Built during World War II, these steel towers on concrete legs were designed to spot enemy planes before they reached London. Soldiers actually lived there, spending weeks at a time above the open sea, cut off from the world. Today, what's left of them still looms over the water, rusted, battered by storms, slowly rusting away, only reachable by boat. Living in a tiny apartment is one thing, but turning it into a fully functional, shape-shifting home? That takes some serious creativity. Gary Chang took the same 32 square meters he grew up in and transformed it into a space that bends to his needs. Need a kitchen? Done.
Maxi or minibar. Huge refrigerator. Yeah. When I don't need the kitchen, it disappeared and it didn't occupy the space. So that's the trick. How I can do so many things within the 360 square feet.
A guest room, no problem.
It's my problem. I think a lot of people are jealous. So it's like a spa wall, I would say.
Even a spa?
After moving the second wall, this become, well, actually it's the spa.
Somehow, yes. It's packed with modern features, but Chang keeps it simple, preferring manual controls over high-tech automation. Now an architect, he specializes in micro-living, proving that even the smallest spaces can be anything but limiting.
外面的看就是像这样。
If houses could go on crash diets, Narrow House would be the result. Austrian artist Erwin Wurm shrunk his childhood home down to a hilariously squashed version. Now permanently displayed in Le Havre, France, walking through it feels like trying to fit into jeans from high school.
这样一个窄的房子，刚才拍的是里面。
Tight, uncomfortable, and slightly ridiculous. Even the furniture looks like it's holding its breath. But this isn't just about space. Wurm is making a point about the other things that can feel restrictive, like societal expectations and rigid mindsets. In most places, refusing to move delays construction. But here, the construction just worked around it. In 2008, when tenants of this Guangzhou apartment block held out for better compensation, rather than keep negotiating, developers went ahead and built the road anyway, curving it right around their building.
It's funny because we're really like going around now.
Now, their homes sit in the middle of a multi-lane highway, surrounded by cars instead of neighbors. Sure, it might have worked out for them, but imagine all those late-night shakes and the beeping. I would have just negotiated. Perched on a rock in the middle of the Drina River, this tiny wooden house has been standing, well, repeatedly rebuilt, since 1968. Originally constructed by a group of swimmers needing shelter, it has faced nature's fury time and time again. Floodwaters have swept it away 7 times, yet each time it rises again. Today it stands defiantly on its rocky perch, attracting travelers who can't believe it hasn't floated away yet. Wow, a house is much stronger than I'll ever be. A house shaped like a pyramid, because why not? This Malibu home was built in 1982 by an engineering couple who really committed to the theme. It faces magnetic north, has a sun calendar built into the floor, and the master bedroom sits at the very top like some kind of throne.
No time to waste, we wind our way up the staircase to the master bed and balcony.
The place is 3,700 square feet with 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a detached garage. Oh,
what it does is it shoots out a little beam here and it'll go onto the counter.
And it sits on 2 acres of land with fruit trees, all yours for just $3.1 million, if triangles are your thing.
And that's my par 3 right over there. Chip off from here down over the par 3.
If Minecraft players designed apartment buildings, the interlace would be the result. This Singaporean housing complex ditches boring high-rises for a 31-block Jenga tower that somehow manages to stand. Designed by Oma and Ol Shirin, it maximizes airflow, natural light, and rooftop gardens. Because why not throw in some greenery while you're at it? The structure is so bizarre yet functional that it won the World Building of the Year award in 2015. Let's just hope no one tries to remove a block or we're all in trouble. Ever wanted to live inside a Toblerone-shaped building? Well, for 40,000 yuan, $266 a month, you actually can. This Tokyo apartment is ridiculously narrow at one end, but the inside is surprisingly functional. There's a tiny kitchen setup, storage overhead, and even a deep tub for bathing. The only catch? The toilet is outside in its own little alcove. It's one of Tokyo's rare affordable rentals. If you don't mind living like a human bookmark, somebody ring Tinkerbell because we found the perfect home for her.
It's a small house in Seattle sandwiched between 2 big box stores. This house made headlines when its owner, Edith Macefield, refused to budge when developers started turning her block into a mall. She reportedly received offers as high as $1 million for the house.
A tiny house, $1 million offer, and a firm no from Edith Macefield. In 2007, developers wanted to replace her tiny Seattle home with commercial buildings, but she refused to sell. So they built around it, leaving her house squeezed between towering structures. It later became known as the real-life Up House. Though Edith wasn't trying to make a statement, she just wanted to stay in her home. She lived there until her passing, proving that sometimes a place means more than money. And even with skyscrapers looming over it, the house still stood. In the heart of Lebanon's Mizyara village, there's a house that's ready for takeoff. Literally. The airplane house in Mizyara is a childhood dream turned into reality by Michael Suleiman, who designed his home to resemble an Airbus A380. Used as a summer home, the airplane house attracts curious visitors hoping to glimpse inside, who might even get one if they're real nice. With its detailed exterior and a stunning view of the Mediterranean, it's easily one of Lebanon's most unique architectural wonders. If James Bond needed a treehouse hideout, the Mirror Cube would be it. This 4-metered mirrored cube floats among the trees, reflecting the forest so well it practically vanishes. A tree trunk casually grows through the middle, like nature and architecture decided to collab, and before you worry about birds flying into it, infrared film keeps them away. It's sleek, futuristic, and the perfect escape if you've ever wanted to disappear. In the middle of a busy highway, one house refused to disappear. Luo Baogen and his wife stood their ground, unwilling to accept what they saw as unfair compensation. While the rest of their neighborhood was demolished, their 5-story home became a lone structure surrounded by speeding cars. With cars swerving around their 5-story house, it became a striking symbol of resistance. That was until they finally agreed on a new compensation offer. The house is gone now, but for a brief moment, it stood tall, refusing to be erased.
This is the half house right in front of me.
It looks like an optical illusion, but Toronto's half house is real. Built in the late 19th century as part of a Victorian row, it was once surrounded by similar homes, originally part of a connected row numbered 52.5 to 60. When developers cleared the area, the family in 54.5 refused to sell. One by one, the attached homes were torn down, leaving this strange, sliced-in-half structure behind.
You don't see too many homes like this. It literally does look like it's half a house here.
It looks like something out of a cartoon, but it's fully functional, and despite its odd appearance, it has remained a lived-in home for years. Forget your typical cabin in the woods. How about a house straight out of the Flintstones? Hidden in the Fafe Mountains of Portugal, this rock house looks like it was plopped there by a giant. Built in the 1970s as a vacation home, it's made entirely of stone, except for the doors, windows, and roof. The inside keeps up the rustic vibe with log furniture and wooden stairs. No electricity, no modern luxuries, just pure Stone Age living with an epic mountain view. Fred and Wilma would definitely approve. For 14 years, this Shanghai nail house held its ground, splitting a major 4-lane road in half. Drivers had to squeeze into 2 lanes while the homeowners refused every compensation offer since 2003. The standoff finally ended in 2017 with a 2.7 million yuan payout. The demolition was swift, 90 minutes, and the structure was history. Crews hosed down the site to control dust, but nothing could wash away the fact that this house had controlled city traffic for over a decade.
This is what's being called the world's narrowest house. Not here, but right here. The triangle-shaped installation is an artist's workspace, which, at its widest point, is less than 4 feet wide.
A house so narrow, you might have to walk in sideways. Only if you've been keeping off of McDonald's. The Carrot House, designed by Jakub Szczesny, holds the title of the world's narrowest house, barely wider than an average doorway. At just 72 centimeters at its slimmest, it's more of a livable sliver than a full house, raised on stilts with a staircase leading inside. It's designed for writers looking for solitude, but with walls this close together, writer's block might be the least of your problems.
And there it is.
Oh my gosh.
We almost passed it again. Now, as you can see from here, it's 3 levels up, so the lot space was definitely utilized.
It's called the Skinny House, but honestly, it should be the Still Standing House. This 3-story home was built in the 1930s on a lot so small, most people thought it was unlivable. Newton P. Rummans took it as payment for a debt and, against all odds, built an 860-foot square home. Skeptics laughed, but with the help of out-of-work craftsmen, he pulled it off.
How many people have you had in here at one time?
I had a Christmas party for my band here this last year, and
oh, that's fun.
We had like 15 people in here, and violins and guitar amps and all. We were tight.
Decades later, it's still wedged into Long Beach's Rose Park neighborhood, turning heads and proving that space is just a matter of perspective. If you've ever wanted to live like the Flintstones, someone in California already beat you to it. The Flintstone House in Hillsborough, California has been standing since 1976, but things really got wild when Florence Fang bought it in 2017. She decked it out with dinosaur statues and full-on Flintstones decor, turning her yard into a prehistoric playground. The neighbors? Not as amused. The town actually sued her, saying the house didn't match community rules, because apparently a giant purple dino is where they draw the line. But she won. The house isn't just off the grid, it's practically in another dimension. Perched on a high cliff, surrounded by nothing but dense forest, it's the ultimate dream for introverts. No neighbors, no noise, just endless trees and the occasional existential crisis. Even Red Foreman wouldn't have to yell at anyone to get off his lawn, because no one could even get there. But hey, if you ever feel lonely, just start talking to the trees. They're the only ones who can hear you anyway. Most people build houses on solid ground. The Bauho Laut do things differently. Their homes rise straight from the ocean, perched on stilts miles away from the nearest land. Entire families live in these wooden houses, linked by narrow pathways where boats replace cars and the horizon stretches endlessly. What started as a life spent entirely on boats has shifted into full floating villages. Yet despite modern changes, their homes remain engineering marvels, proving that when it comes to survival, adaptation is just as important as tradition.
You'd wonder whether this species helped.
Bruce Campbell's home gives jet-setting lifestyle a whole new meaning. Instead of a house, he lives in a Boeing 727, because why not turn a 70,000-pound airplane into a bachelor pad? He snagged the retired jet for $100,000 back in '99, and now it sits in the Oregon woods.
whether it crashed here and I simply restored the wreck. That's an odd thing to hear. It's completely...
Where he spends just $370 a month on upkeep, no boarding pass required. Sure, the legroom's great, but let's just hope the in-flight snacks aren't still from the 90s.
I think we shred them, and then we spin around 180 degrees. We're an extraterrestrial looking down on this behavior. It's a good environment, it really is.
Moving isn't just about packing boxes. It's about leaving behind a life, a routine, a place that feels like yours. So when this homeowner refused to budge, it's easy to see why. Maybe they had no better options, or maybe they just didn't care about the chaos outside their front door. Now, their home stands like an island, surrounded by an endless stream of cars. And in China, these stubborn holdouts aren't rare. They're called nail houses because they just won't come out. Imagine escaping into the middle of a deep forest surrounded by towering trees, far from the noise of civilization. Sounds peaceful, right? Well, add wolves, bears, and a spiral staircase climb, and now it's an adventure. The Pan treetop cabins in Norway are basically luxury tree houses, complete with floor-to-ceiling windows, heated floors, and fireplaces, so you can sip coffee in a cozy A-frame cabin while possibly being watched by a curious bear. At least you're 8 meters off the ground, hopefully high enough to stay off the dinner menu. Most villages have roads leading in and out. Aashima, on the other hand, is a different story. This tiny, hidden town sits inside a volcanic crater, surrounded by dense jungle with no easy way in or out. No direct ferries, no flights, just unpredictable boat rides or the rare helicopter trip. Yet, despite the challenge, a small community calls this place home, living within one of nature's most extreme landscapes. Despite its isolation, the island has a school, a post office, and even a geothermal sauna, proving that people can thrive in the most unexpected places. Most hotels have driveways. This one, you need scuba gear just to reach your room. Jules Undersea Lodge, sitting 30 feet below the surface in Key Largo, is the only hotel where checking in requires diving in. It's a weird mix of high-tech and homey, with underwater views from every window. It sounds insane, but people love it. Some even book it for weddings. Spending the night completely surrounded by ocean life isn't something you do every day, but for thrill seekers, it's an experience like no other. But, imagine being watched by fishies while you sleep. A town built on a bridge? Sounds impossible, right? But in Chongqing, China, a city with 14,000 bridges, it makes perfect sense. This 400-meter-long viaduct doesn't just connect two places, it's lined with buildings that blend Western and Chinese architecture. Most are shops, but some people likely live in them too. The goal? Tourism. But it's more than just a gimmick, it's an actual functioning community suspended over the Lijiang River. Living on a bridge may seem strange, but in a city famous for its elevated structures, it's just another part of daily life.
It's a content from every angle.
A house that looks like it grew out of the ground. That's the organic house. Instead of standing above the landscape, it blends into it, creating a cave-like home that feels both futuristic and ancient. The design is inspired by a peanut shell. Two bright open spaces connected by a narrower, dimly lit passage. Despite being partially buried, it's surprisingly full of light, thanks to domes and strategically placed windows. With natural airflow and seamless integration with the outdoors, it's a home that feels like a sculpture you can live in.
Overwhelmed.
In a city built for high-stakes bets, Vera Coking played her own game. Her house stood in the way of Atlantic City's booming casino industry, but no offer was enough to make her leave. First, gambling bosses tried, offering cash, a luxury suite, free meals, and even a new Cadillac every year.
What if Penthouse came to your door right now and said, "We'll pay you $2 million. What would you say?
I love my house. I don't want to sell at all. It's my home. It's my castle. It's like having a baby and give it away.
She refused, hoping for a bigger payout. Even Donald Trump tried, but Vera fought back, challenging the city's attempt to take her home. She lived there until 2010, but by 2014, the house was auctioned and later demolished. Decades of defiance, countless offers, and a courtroom battle later, her house is gone. But her story remains one of Atlantic City's most famous standoffs. Driving past Tulsa's Cave House, you might think it's straight out of a cartoon, but back in the 1920s, it was a hotspot for hidden booze and shady deals.
When she seized on the opportunity to actually buy it in 1997, she knew right away she'd made the right choice.
My heart was full. The minute I stepped in the door, I knew I was supposed to own this place.
Patrons supposedly gave a password, stepped through a secret fireplace door, and followed tunnels to a hidden bar. Even legendary outlaw Pretty Boy Floyd was said to have stopped by. With its cave-like walls, eerie stalactites, and countless legends, some say even ghostly encounters, this place remains one of Tulsa's most mysterious spots. And honestly, the secrets might not be done yet.
It was a blank slate when Linda signed the deed, but the stories kept coming in from people who would stop to look. The interest never died. Linda started filling it with history and her own sense of creativity.
It's all about love over here.
You speak English?
Yes.
Do you live underneath the street?
Yes.
In the tunnel? How long have you lived there for?
Many years.
Many years? Why is that?
Because I don't have a house.
You don't have anywhere to live?
It's hard life.
Oh, it's a hard life.
Most people wouldn't believe sewers could function as homes, but for many in Bucharest, they've become just that. After losing their orphanages, thousands sought shelter in the tunnels beneath the city. Over decades, these spaces evolved, lit by scraps of electricity, sectioned off for living, even forming small communities. Warmth from underground pipes makes survival possible, though conditions remain harsh. Some who grew up there now raise children in the same tunnels. It's a world hidden beneath the streets where survival has turned into something resembling life. A single-story house just floating on a hollowed-out foundation smack in the middle of a construction site in Shandong, China. It looks less like a home and more like someone tried to delete it in a video game but forgot to confirm. Maybe the owner thought, you can take the land, but you can't take my house. Or maybe the construction crew was too scared to touch it. Either way, it's a bizarre sight, like a real-life game of The Floor is Lava, except someone actually lives there. Ever thought you'd pay $50,000 to sleep in a toilet? Sim J Duck's home in Suwon offers just that, a surreal experience where luxury meets lunacy. With 4 bathrooms that come complete with whirlpool bathtubs and even motion-activated classical music, it's a lavatory lover's paradise. Now that does sound insane, since most people aren't privy to such emotions, but the owner, Sim J Duck, comes with a great reason. Apparently, he's known to raise awareness for public restrooms, and this was just his way of garnering support and funds for the foundation. In Shandong, China, a farmer built a 7-story home entirely by hand, using whatever materials he could find. Wood, stones, bricks, and clay. It took him 10 years, not for luxury or recognition, but for something far more meaningful, his dream of reuniting with his brothers under one roof. While the structure may not be conventionally designed, every part of it represents love, resilience, and an unshakable commitment to family. A reminder that home isn't about perfection, it's about the people you build it for. China House in Tianjin isn't just decorated, it's completely buried under broken porcelain. The former colonial building was revamped by Zhang Lianji, who covered every surface with ceramic shards. Inside, there's antique furniture, but outside, it looks like a house-sized pottery accident. Even the staircases and statues are covered in porcelain pieces. It's a museum now, drawing in tourists who want to see just how much porcelain one building can handle. You won't find anything else like it in Tianjin, unless someone drops an entire warehouse of dishes on a house. A house that moves when you're tired of the view? Bohumil Lota got tired of regular houses, so he built this. The Robo Hobbit home in the Czech Republic can rise from the ground and rotate to catch the perfect sunlight. Built in 2002, after decades of planning, it stays naturally cool underground, but can pop up like a periscope when needed. Located in Velký Hamry, it even has a swimming pool, just in case living in a sci-fi Hobbit house wasn't cool enough already. Melnikov House is basically what happens when an architect says, "Who needs normal walls?" Built in the 1920s, it's made of 2 big cylinders packed with hexagonal windows that let light pour in. Konstantin Melnikov had to work with limited materials, so he got creative, turning brick and plaster into something completely unexpected. Inside, the spiral staircase connects open, airy spaces, including a rooftop terrace. It's not just a house, it's a statement, proving that even in the strict Soviet era, bold design wasn't completely off the table. Australia's Cooper Petty took the phrase "living under a rock" way too seriously. This outback town isn't just underground, it's a whole subterranean village. Houses, hotels, churches, even bars, all carved into the earth to escape the brutal desert heat. Above ground, just a dusty, apocalyptic landscape that looks straight out of Mad Max, which, fun fact, was actually filmed here. But below, cool, cozy, and oddly futuristic. With summer temps hitting 110 degrees Fahrenheit, living in a cave suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea. Living in a Tuileries basically meant getting your cardio and risking your life just to grab groceries. This 800-meter-high cliffside village in China is why for years the villagers climbed flimsy rope ladders to reach civilization, turning a school run into a survival challenge. Authorities later upgraded them to steel ladders, fancy, before moving most villagers into modern apartments. But not everyone left. About 30 families still call the cliff home, proving that some people are just built different. Meanwhile, the rest of us complain about taking the stairs. Vegas has luxurious hotels, wild parties, and a hidden underground society. Yep, about 2,000 people actually live in the storm tunnels beneath the Strip, turning them into makeshift homes. No rent, no HOA fees, just the occasional risk of a flash flood washing everything away. Residents have their own little barter system, rules, and communities, but no cops, because even they don't want to be down there. It's like an apocalyptic movie, minus the zombies.